It's the year 1842, an early morning in Buckingham Palace, but you can already hear the fast steps of the servants preparing everything for a new royal day. Like a beehive, everything is buzzing and in movement. Long halls, big windows, and even more royal glamour in the middle of London. Meanwhile, Queen Victoria is still in bed, stretching her body from one side to the other, the red blankets still holding her body warm and cozy. Her eyes only half open and her head buzzing from yesterday's royal duties. The first daylight is fighting its way through the blue curtains, birds chirping. But Victoria isn't ready to start the day in stress, so she rings the bell for her servants. On a golden tray, they bring her lifesaver. The best cannabis rolled up in a white cigarette paper. Slowly, she puts the joint between her lips and nods into the direction of the servant who lights the fire. Queen Victoria takes a deep breath in. With every inhale, the fume is traveling gently into her lungs. She feels her headache slowly going away, while a feeling of contentment spreads through her body. Now she's ready to start a new day as the Queen of Great Britain.
Wait. You cannot say that. Queen Victoria, a drug user.
Why? Why can't I say?
That's not true.
But it is.
Lena, be honest.
Okay, it's half true, okay? But yes, okay, this opening scene was invented by me and myself. And
I knew it.
But there's a little bit of truth behind every good gossip story. Just wait for it.
Yes, I agree. You know, I love gossip as much as you do. But the term drug user may be a little vague for the Queen.
Okay, we can talk about it later. But first I want to welcome our listeners to our very first episode of History Gossip.
How scandalous.
No way.
I didn't know that.
You're kidding me.
No.
Tell me more about it.
History Gossip, the podcast spilling the tea on history's wildest stories, iconic royal drama, and the most chaotic events. Oh my god, I'm so excited.
Me too.
Okay. Deep breath, Lena, we have to start.
Okay, sorry. It's just so exciting, you know,
Yes.
to start this podcast. The idea of History Gossip was to track down the most bizarre stories, habits, or events of history, especially royal courts.
Because, let's be honest, everyone loves a little bit of gossip.
Exactly. And every episode we want to talk about different gossip stories in history.
With we mean a team of 7 girls that love gossip as much as history.
And today Melanie and I start with the first episode and we will unwrap the juiciest stories about the British monarch, Queen Victoria. You won't believe what she did. And I don't mean the kind of stuff you learn about her reign in school. I'm talking about the spicy stuff. The hot gossip. Did you know that the so-called grandmother of Europe was in fact using drugs?
Lena!
She did use them, okay? Hold up, I will explain later.
Yeah, sure.
Or did you know that she didn't like children very much, even though she had a lot of them? And by that, I mean a lot of them. And even more grandchildren. Or that she journaled every single day of her adulthood.
Oh my god, she's just like us. That's main character energy right there. Journaling every night before bed, I guess?
Or that she had a stalker.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack here. Where do we begin?
Right at the beginning.
Reality check.
Queen Victoria, or should I say her full name, Alexandrina Victoria. Her first name was dropped at her wish when she became queen. But before that, her nickname was in fact Trina.
It must be great to be royal and just change your name at your wish.
Yeah, but honestly, in my opinion, Alexandrina sounds even more royal than Victoria. I would have stayed with her original name.
Yeah, but Lena, sadly, nobody asked you back then.
What can I tell you?
And Trina is not a good nickname. It sounds so harsh.
Yeah, okay, yeah. But anyways, back to the story. Victoria's reign lasted exactly 63 years and 216 days.
Ah, yes, right. And only Queen Elizabeth II held up the throne longer than her, right?
Yes, exactly. But during Victoria's reign, Britain grew into the most powerful country in the world, and over a quarter of the world's population was under her rule. Her influence was so huge that the whole century was named after her. The Victorian era.
Who would have guessed?
But her personal life holds even better stories. She was born on the 24th of May, 1819. Due to her father's early death, she was raised by her mother, who set up a strict set of rules, the so-called Kensington system. Victoria had, for example, share a room with her mother, follow a strict daily schedule, and
Ew.
wasn't allowed to meet many people, especially without her mother's approval.
Wow, that's so toxic.
Yeah, you say it. Her first language was in fact German.
What?
But she learned to speak English at the age of 3. Besides that, she studied Latin, French, Urdu and Hindi. But not to nitpick, but for fact-checking purposes, Urdu and Hindi were the same language back in the days, called Hindustani. It diverged after the partition of India when the languages adopted different alphabets.
Wow, you really did your research.
But anyways, back to Victoria.
Okay, yes, let's go.
At 18 years old, in the year 1837, she inherited the English throne, even though she was originally the 4th in line of succession. But in this
Did she kill all her brothers?
No, she didn't have to. Sadly, in her case, the 3 elder brothers of her father and their legitimate heirs had already passed away. But guess what she did first when she inherited the throne? One of her first official acts was to remove her bed from her mother's room, providing further proof of the difficult mother-child relationship.
Good choice, Victoria. Don't let your mother treat you like that.
And 1 year later, in June 1838, Victoria was officially crowned queen.
Ooh.
Here we have to add like dramatic music.
It's not that dramatic, but if you want to...
I think it would add a lot of sound dimension.
For my sake, but why are we whispering?
Sound dimension. I don't know, anyways. But now to my favorite part. The love story.
What love story?
On the 10th of February 1840, 2 years after her coronation, Queen Victoria married Prince Albert of Saxe-Coburg-Gotha.
And let me guess, they were related.
Yeah, of course they were related. In fact, they were first cousins. But listen, that's not unusual for royal families. As we know, we are at least, or I am at least Austrian, so I can judge.
The Habsburgers.
Yes.
Well, did you know I went to school with one of the Habsburger descendants? She looked like one of them.
No comment. Anyways, all jokes aside, the marriage between Victoria and Albert is said to be rooted in mutual love, even though they only met 3 times before the ceremony.
3 times. Lol. That's even riskier than participating in the Netflix show Love is Blind. Maybe Victoria was a yoo-hauling lesbian by heart?
Yeah, but listen. After her first met-up in 1836, Victoria wrote into her diary, "He's extremely handsome. His hair is about the same color as mine. His eyes are large and blue. He has a beautiful nose, a very sweet mouth with fine teeth." Love at first sight, I would say.
It's the tea for me. Ew, 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 ew. No.
Yeah, but you're so unromantic.
You cannot say that would be enough to marry that guy. A guy you only met 3 times. And it's your first fucking cousin.
Of course not. But it's not about you or I. It's about Victoria and Albert.
You're such a hopeless romantic.
I know, but guess who proposed?
That's easy. The man, of course. We are in the, 18th century?
19th, yeah.
19th century, the man, Albert.
No, Victoria did.
Why? How? It is the 19th century.
Since Victoria acceded the throne in 1837, and it's tradition that no one could propose to a reigning monarch, Queen Victoria had to propose during her second visit in 1839 at Windsor Castle.
Slay!
But that's not all. Victoria's wedding dress choice was even better aggressive at the time, because she decided to wear a white satin lace dress.
Wow, a white dress.
In 1840, it was very unusual to wear a white wedding dress. Instead, it was more common for brides to wear gowns of rich colors, which could be used again for other occasions.
Oh, that's a very fair and practical point.
While Victoria didn't start the tradition of the white wedding, she helped to popularize the color. She chose white as a symbol of wealth, purity, and because she wanted to stand out of the crowd. Iconic, isn't it?
Very iconic. I guess I start to like Victoria.
See? And Victoria and Albert didn't wait long to start a family. In the same year, their first daughter, Victoria Adelaide Mary Louise, was born. Her 4 sisters and her 4 brothers followed the years after. So in the end, the couple had 9 children.
9? So many pregnancies.
Yep, and the children all were married into Europe royal families. And they also had children. A lot of them. Guess how many grandchildren the monarchs had?
I guess with 9 children, you end up with maybe, 20 grandchildren?
42 grandchildren.
42.
Yes, you heard correctly. 42.
Okay, wow. The family gatherings must have been eventful.
And that's why Queen Victoria is also often called the grandmother of Europe.
That makes sense now.
But funny enough, Victoria wasn't a very affectionate grandmother or even mother. truthfully, she didn't like children very much. Victoria hated being pregnant, viewed breastfeeding with disgust, and thought newborns were ugly.
No comment.
Anyways, to conclude the love story.
Yes, please.
Victoria and Albert were married for 21 years. But on the 14th of December 1861, Albert sadly passed away due to a disease.
Oh no.
Today, historians assume abdominal cancer or Crohn's disease. And since his death, the queen only wore black as a sign of her deep mourning and love. That's why she's also got the nickname Widow of Windsor.
Oh no, but she must have really loved his tea.
Oh gosh, you're so mean and not funny at all.
I'm just messing with you.
Queen Victoria lived till the year 1901, and her reign lasted longer than ever before. 63 years. During the Victorian era, the British Kingdom grew into the most powerful country in the world, and big industrial, political, scientific and military changes were happening. In 1879, Victoria also became the Empress of India, but without ever being there herself.
Okay, Lena, but we don't have to start to unpack the problem of colonialism in this podcast, right?
Yeah, that's a long story to
Yeah.
unpack.
But what about the elephant in the room? Was the monarch indeed, as you called her, a drug user?
Let me elaborate.
Yes, please.
Victoria grew up in an age of progress and scientific experimentation. We know that she had a daily dose of opium, dissolved in alcohol, which was also sold as a painkiller at the time.
You think that would treat my migraines?
There are also stories that she ate sweets laced with cocaine with her guests.
Good hospitality?
Yep. And she in fact used cannabis during her pregnancies and also when she was experiencing cramps. Definitely not the kind of scenario described at the beginning. Oops.
I knew it. You will lie.
And for her last 2 pregnancies, she was given chloroform, a kind of painkiller.
Wait, the thing you used to take hostage?
No.
You know, in the movies where they put the thing on your face?
No, completely wrong.
Oh no.
A kind of painkiller during birth.
Sounds like a hostage situation.
No. It was revolutionary back in the days, okay?
Uh-huh.
So yes, she did use drugs. Nevertheless, there were also no laws back then, and the long-term consequences of the different substances weren't also known at the time. I guess it's up to you and your imagination if you like to call her a drug user or not.
Thank you for clarifying that.
You're welcome. Before we end this episode, I have some little gossip stories and fun facts about Queen Victoria in my sleeve that I wanted to share with you. May it be useful for you in pub quizzes or debates, I guess.
Okay, I'm hooked.
So let's start. Queen Victoria was only 1 meter 52 centimeters tall, so petite. Victoria was the first British monarch to ride on a train, use a telephone, and to have electric lights. But she wasn't a big fan of the telephone. She thought it was cold and impersonal.
We should show her TikTok.
She would freak out. Instead, she loved Indian food and enjoyed chicken curry every Sunday at Osborne House. Victoria didn't like the smell of tobacco smoke and had no smoking signs placed in the majority of the rooms in the palace. She also had a pet, an African grey parrot named Coco. She taught him to sing the nation anthem, God Save the Queen. Victoria was also a book publisher. She had 2 books published about her travels in the Scottish Highlands. Not my personal kind of genre, but anyways.
The BookTok girlies would love it. As I said, we should show her TikTok.
And before I forget to tell a story about her stalker, a young man called Edward Jones. He even broke into Buckingham Palace several times. He sat on the throne, hid under her sofa, and on one occasion, it's believed he have stolen some of her underwear.
Ew.
Weird, totally weird. But in 1841, he was caught and shipped off to the colonies. Also a good way to solve the problem, in my opinion.
Yeah, let's not talk about colonialism, but girl boss move.
At the end of her reign, Victoria's title was, are you ready?
Uh-huh.
Her Majesty Victoria, by the grace of God, of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland Queen, Defender of the Faith, Empress of India.
As I said, no comment on that.
And Queen Victoria did not only have a white wedding, but also a white funeral.
Yeah, because you don't have to reuse that dress, right?
You're not funny. She was placed in her coffin in a white dress and wearing her wedding ring.
I was right.
But beautifully enough, it also started to snow on the funeral day.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, I think that's everything for today. Drink up your coffee. That was the hot gossip.
You did not disappoint me, Lena.
I'm glad. Stop it. I'm blushing. And as you can see, Queen Victoria was far more than only one of the most influential British monarchs. Her personality is even more interesting. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely.
Yay!
Yes. Great research.
And after my research, I would conclude that the word drugs user isn't very fitting for the queen, okay? She doesn't fit like in the picture that may come to your mind when you hear of the term. Instead, I would rather consider her medical drug choice as a revolutionary approach and also maybe a little emancipating.
Yes, I think I can agree to that.
And of course, we hope you, our listeners, liked the episode as well. Did I forget a good gossip story? Let us know in the comments.
Till next time.
Bye!
Thank you for listening to History Gossip. This episode was written by your host, Lena Jansa, co-host, Melanie Schönberger, concept and project management, Lena Jansa and Melanie Schönberger, editing, Melanie Schönberger. History Gossip is a project developed by students of the University of Vienna.
Can we now add like dramatic music?
Stop whispering.
Okay.